On completing a year in office, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's open letter to citizens spoke about building the India of our dreams, highlighting his government's objective to transform the quality of life by transforming infrastructure. 1 year on, has the presence of the Modi government at the centre given a fillip to the key transport infrastructure projects that are languishing across our metros and the new subsidies? That's the agenda on today's edition of the Realty Debate. We're going to break it down and get a status check on all the big infrastructure projects across Delhi, NCR, MMR and the South. Our team of reporters are stationed across cities to tell us what's moving and what's stuck. Oinatam Ojha will give us a snapshot of Gurgaon's critical transport projects. Nikhil Narayan Shivdas joins us from Mumbai for all the big hits and misses from MMR. And Lakshmi Sivdas will bring us a ground check on Bangalore and Chennai's connectivity projects. Oinatam, to you first. If you look at Gurgaon and you pick any of the property hotspots in Gurgaon, the common issue is delayed infrastructure development. What have the authorities achieved in the past year, and which are the major projects which are severely lagging?
Well, as you have rightly pointed out, of course, delays in infrastructure project has become a kind of order of the day. But there is some good news as far as a couple of infrastructure projects in and around Gurgaon is concerned. First, let me talk about the much awaited Dwarka Expressway. Finally, the court case is almost over. The legal roadblock is out of the way, and the Punjab and Haryana court has vacated the stay on that 2.5 kilometer stretch that has held up 18 kilometers of the entire of Dwarka Expressway. Now, thousands of home buyers were really worried about the future of their properties in and around that area, but finally some good news there, and it's just a matter of time before work on the stuck 2.5 kilometer stretch begins, and the entire 18 kilometer of Dwarka Expressway will be ready for use for all of us. Now, the other much awaited expressway has been the Kundli-Manesar Palwal Expressway. Now, this was to be ready way back in 2009, but several issues, but primarily the issue of fund crunch with the DS construction-led consortium who was supposed to construct this 136 kilometer long expressway was the major reason that held up the project. Finally, the court had to intervene, and because of the push of the present BJP government, the consortium was asked to move out of the project, and now 53 kilometers has been allotted for upgradation and improvement. This is the stretch from Manesar to Palwal, and the remaining 83 kilometers for this stretch bids have already been invited. Now also the project has been upgraded from a 4-lane expressway to a 6-lane expressway. So clearly work is moving, at least for now, and it is good news as far as the Gurgaon sector is concerned. Back to you.
Okay, so that's the good, bad and the ugly on Gurgaon. Oini, thanks so much for those inputs. Let me now welcome my guests in the studio who are going to talk about Delhi NCR's infrastructure projects and the connectivity issues. Please welcome Mr. Rohit Raj Modi, Director Ashiana Homes and Vice President CREDAI. Also with us, Mr. Santosh Kumar, CEO Operations and International Director JLL India. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. Before I get started and get your perspective, let's also run through what's happening in markets of Ghaziabad and Noida. Coming to Ghaziabad first, Rajnagar Extension, popular affordable housing hub. This market is sluggish due to poor connectivity. There are 2 elevated roads which have been proposed, but those are still on paper. Next, the much awaited widening project of the NH24, 16 laning of this road, always traffic choked, but this major artery widening project is still going very slow. The metro extension from Dilshad Garden to New Bus Stand. Now, this is the ray of hope here for Ghaziabad. Groundwork has begun according to reports. Coming to Noida, work on the FNG Expressway has achieved significant progress, but patches of disputed land remain, so it's not a seamless road yet. And on the other hand, work on the Greater Noida Metro Link, the award for the construction has been awarded, and groundwork is being done on the other metro links. Okay. Coming to my guests in the studio, Rohit, the slowdown we are witnessing in the NCR property market, do you think that's a factor of the disjointed connectivity most of the new housing hubs have, that most of the projects get ready, they're sold off, but there's not a master road for the buyer to actually go and live there?
It is one of the key reasons, I would say, and not the only reason, why the market has been sluggish. Market has been sluggish because of the overall macroeconomic scenario having been fairly depressed over the last 2 years. But yes, I do agree with you that the lack of infrastructure connectivity, the transport connectivity, acts as a big deterrent, specifically when the market is slow. Then it starts to overweigh even higher. So if we were to have our metros coming up not so much as a afterthought but as a pre-planned measure, and more than the metros, the expressways, the sector roads and the road connectivities, because all that we require in India is for a road to go through somewhere. Rest all other socio-urban infrastructure can take place because of the market forces itself.
Okay. Santosh, would you say market forces are enough to get a housing up to actually get people to come and inhabit it? Why should a buyer part with his savings when he's not even guaranteed a master road? We have examples of such cases in Greater Faridabad, in Rajnagar extension. What do you make of this?
No, I completely agree with you. Infrastructure have been one of the driver for the real estate development. And definitely the hard-earned money of the buyer or the customers goes into buying the house when the proper infrastructure or amenities are not available in that vicinity. But having said that, if you look at both Gurgaon and Noida, Gurgaon, there was not much of a proper infrastructure was not there, but the economic development forced the buyers to buy the houses in Gurgaon, whereas in Noida, infrastructure was in place. The economic development took place, over a period of time. The demand for housing started coming up gradually. So infrastructure and real estate go along, and definitely when the infrastructure are in place, definitely demand also bumps up, the prices starts increasing. Similarly, if we really wants to stabilize the market also, definitely infrastructure creates a very vital role, bringing in more supply when more and more lands are available in that stretch.
Rohit, the Dwarka Expressway, that's been the only breakthrough in the NCR market in terms of connectivity infrastructure this year. And that only came through when developers had to come together and actually nudge the CM's office to act and also become party to the legal case. Why can't developers engage more often on such issues? Why only for such premium housing corridors, and why not for Ghaziabad or Faridabad?
Well, it would be not entirely correct to say that the developers were not party to the legal case, so to say, as far as Dwarka Expressway matter was concerned. But the developers, through their industry body CREDAI, had been talking to the various stakeholders in this particular matter continuously. And I must say that the very, very quick and prompt response from the new government in Haryana helped in resolving the situation between the petitioners or the affected parties and the state developmental bodies. I do agree with you that the developers should engage more often and more vigorously in the issues of infrastructure development. And as we have been noticing over the last 5 to 7 years, there has been more and more engagement of developers with the particular state development authorities. But having said that, I would like to make a point here that infrastructure development, especially the trunk service connectivity like roads, drains, sewage, electric connection, they should not remain like a wild card in a master plan area. They must be the most assured things which should be there, and they should be done in a time-bound manner, because in most of these areas, development charges in one name or the other are charged by the development authority or the urban local body, but it is not spent in the right time, in the right location. If only our development authorities can monitor their spending and planning in a more judicious manner, I think we would start seeing that the urban infrastructure is available even before people come to live, and which is how it should be.
So you're saying how the external development charges are actually implemented, whether it reaches on ground, that's the biggest issue, and not just, government bodies coordinating between each other, clearances, approvals, and all the issues that come with PPP projects. So usage of EDC funds and how that can be siphoned off very easily.
Well, I won't use the term siphoned off, but it is about underutilization of it, untimely utilization of it, or being utilized in locations other than from where they were collected for. It's not so much of an issue of the lack of coordination, because mostly these outer suburbs are under a development authority or a municipal or an ULB, where they are the nodal agency to get this done. Some bit does get hindered because of the land acquisition, and with the current land acquisition bill being in a bit of a limbo, I don't know how will that particular go, but land acquisition does act as a challenge, because we must understand that once the land is acquired for the road work, then the drain and the sewage and the electricity supply, they all run along the roadside. So the road is the most important one. But even where the government has the land acquired with them for the vertical development of, which is the roads, there also we see that there are times when there is a lot of planning delay, which should not be there, because the people who have invested into these particular projects, into these homes, they have invested their hard-earned money. Ultimately, the developer is just a pass-through vehicle who collects that development charge from the home buyer and passes it on to the government. So it is the onus and the responsibility of the government to spend that judiciously and in a time-bound manner.
Okay. Santosh, would you list out which are the top critical projects for Delhi NCR, the connectivity projects that need to be a priority for the state governments?
At this moment, I think, the Dwarka Expressway has already been sorted out. I think definitely it's going to see the end of the day. Second one is, KMP Expressway. Definitely, once it comes up, it's going to bring in much more land into the development, and also it creates a good connectivity between Kundli and the Manesar area. Apart from that, I think the metro connectivity is expanding into Faridabad, now into Ghaziabad, and going up to greater Noida. Third one is the airport, the Noida airport. Maybe ultimately, definitely we would like to see the reality once the government sort out their issues on that part. So definitely these are some of the projects we would like to see, so that the connectivity improves, the real estate prices get stabilizes, and demand get created in the NCR market.
Okay, mother of all is good connectivity for any location to come up as a thriving residential housing hub. We'll take a short break on that note. Rohit Raj Modi, thank you so much for joining us. We'd like Mr. Santosh to stay with us and discuss other markets and the infrastructure concerns there. The Realty Debate will return to look at the state of infrastructure and its impact on housing in MMR. Stay tuned.